Hi, I'm Emma Richardson, and I'm going to tell you about the night my father taught me that silence can be the loudest weapon you'll ever use. The night I learned that walking away isn't running, it's winning. My sister Grace's wedding happened on a Saturday in June. The church was big and white, flowers everywhere. The kind of perfect day where nothing bad is supposed to happen, but perfect days are just pretty lies wearing fancy dresses. Dad stood up during dinner. Everyone got quiet. He held his drink up high and started talking. His voice was strong and clear. "I want to thank everyone for coming," he said. "Grace has always made us so proud. She's the daughter every parent dreams about." People smiled and clapped. Grace's face turned red, but in a happy way. Then Dad looked right at me. His eyes got different. Colder. Like when you open the freezer and that icy air hits your face. "Some kids," he said, SLOWER now, "make you proud. They do everything right. They make you look good." He paused. The whole room was LISDNING. "And some kids, well, they just take up space." The room got so quiet you could hear people breathing. My mom's fork dropped on her plate. Clang. Grace's smile froze like a picture that got stuck. I felt my face get hot. My hands started SHAKING under the table. But I didn't cry. Want to know what I did instead? I stood up, picked up my glass, and I smiled the biggest smile I could make. "You're absolutely right, Dad," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Good thing I just signed a lease for my own place, 2,000 miles away, in California." His face went white, like someone had erased all the color. Mom's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Grace just stared at me like I'd grown a second head. The whole room turned into a statue garden. Nobody moved. Nobody talked. Even the music seemed to stop. That's when I learned something important. Silence is what happens when the people who always had control suddenly realize they don't anymore. Let me tell you how I got to that moment. Because revenge isn't a one-day thing. It's a long story. And mine started 3 years before Grace's wedding. Drop a comment if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Let me know I'm not alone, because what happened next changed everything. When I was in college, I needed money for books. Not toys, not fancy things, BOOKS for school. I asked Dad for help. He said yes. But then he did something weird. He made me sign papers, real official papers like I was buying a car or something. "It's a loan," he said. "You'll pay me back with extra money added on top, just like a bank." I was only 20 years old. I didn't understand. I just wanted to go to school, so I signed the papers. My hand was shaking, but I signed. Meanwhile, Grace CRASHED Dad's car that same year. Not a small crash. She hit a mailbox, a fence, and somebody's garden decorations. Dad just laughed and bought her a new car the next week. A shiny red one. No papers, no paying back. Just accidents happen, sweetheart. I paid Dad back every single dollar. It took me 2 years. I worked at a coffee shop after classes. My hands smelled like coffee beans and cleaning spray every single day. I was so tired, but I did it. Every single dollar. When I gave him the last payment, he just looked at the check and put it in his pocket. Didn't say thank you. Didn't say I'm proud of you. Just nodded like I'd given him the mail. That's when I started understanding. In my family, love had a price tag, and I was the only one who had to pay it. Mom would call both of us my beautiful girls. But when Grace needed something, Mom would drop everything. When I needed something, Mom would say, "Let me check my schedule." Check my schedule is just a nice way of saying not now. I started having this dream. In the dream, I was standing in a big empty house. All the doors were locked from the outside. I would bang on them and scream, but nobody came. I'd wake up with my heart pounding like it was trying to escape my chest. That dream taught me something. I was locked in, but I was the only one who could find the key. So I made a plan, a secret plan. I started saving money, not in the bank where they could see it. I kept cash hidden in an old shoebox under my bed. Every time I got paid, I put some away. $5, $10, sometimes just $3. It didn't matter. It all counted. I looked at maps on my computer late at night when everyone was asleep. California, Oregon, Washington, places that sounded like freedom. Places where nobody knew my name or my history or which sister was the good one. Grace called me one afternoon. She was crying, sobbing actually. Her husband Michael had been mean to her, said something about how she didn't know how to do anything by herself, how she always needed mommy and daddy to fix her problems. "He's wrong," she cried into the phone. "Right." I wanted to say, actually, he's kind of right. But I didn't, because that's not what good sisters do, even when their family treats them like furniture. "Come over," I said. "We'll talk." She came to my apartment. My tiny apartment with the bathroom door that didn't close all the way and the kitchen that smelled like the old building. She looked around like she'd never seen a place so small. We sat on my couch. I made her tea. She cried and talked and cried some more. I listened. That's what I was good at. Listening, taking up space quietly. "You're so strong," she said, wiping her eyes. "You do everything alone. I don't know how." Because I had to, I thought. Because nobody gave me another choice. But I just hugged her and said nothing. Sometimes silence protects both people. After she left, I opened my laptop. I had been looking at jobs in other states. Real jobs. Good jobs. The kind that paid enough to live without asking Dad for anything ever again. I found one in San Diego, California. Marketing assistant for a small company that made surfboards. It sounded happy. It sounded like sunshine. It sounded like it was 2,000 miles away from people who measured my worth by how quiet I stayed. I applied that night. Hands shaking, heart pounding, praying to God that something good would finally happen. Comment 2, if you've ever applied for something that felt like your last chance. I need to know you understand this feeling. 3 weeks later, I got an email. "We'd like to offer you the position." I read it 5 times, then 10 times. I stood up and walked around my apartment in CIRCLES. I wanted to scream, but my neighbors would think I was crazy, so I just cried. Happy tears, relieved tears, freedom tears. I didn't tell anyone, not Mom, not Dad, not even Grace. This was MY's secret, my escape plan, my key to the locked doors. I found an apartment in San Diego on the internet. Small, 1 bedroom. The pictures showed white walls and a window that looked at palm trees. Palm trees. I'd never lived anywhere with palm trees. I signed the lease on a Tuesday. My hands were sweating so much the pen kept slipping. But I did it. I was LEAVING. I was actually doing it. Then Grace's wedding invitation came in the mail. Big and white and fancy. "Grace Thompson and Michael Anderson request your presence." I almost didn't go, but something inside me said, "Gio, show up one last time. Let them see you before you disappear." The wedding was beautiful. Grace looked like a princess. White dress, flowers in her hair. Everyone said she looked perfect, because Grace always looked perfect. That was her job in the family. My job was to clap and smile and stay quiet. But then came the toast. Dad's moment to stand up and tell everyone how wonderful his daughters were. Except that's not what HAPPENED. You already know what he said. Some kids make you proud, others just take up space. The words hit me like cold water. Like someone had opened a window in winter and all the warm air rushed out. I felt small, tiny, like I was shrinking right there in my chair. Everyone was staring. Some looked embarrassed for me, some looked away. Grace's face went red, but not the happy kind anymore, the uncomfortable kind. And that's when something inside me broke, but not in a sad way, in a powerful way. Like a chain that's been holding you down suddenly snaps in half. I stood up. My chair made a loud noise. Everyone turned to look. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my ears, but my voice came out steady and clear. "You're right, Dad," I said. I smiled. A real smile, not a fake one. I do take up space, and that's exactly why I signed a lease for a place of my own. In San Diego, California, 2,000 miles from here, I start my new job in 2 weeks. The silence that followed was beautiful, like music I'd been waiting my whole life to hear. Dad's face turned white, then red, then purple, like a sunset but angry. Mom put her hand over her mouth. Grace just froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. Nobody, MOVED. Nobody talked. It was like I'd pressed a pause button on the whole room. I picked up my purse. "Congratulations, Grace," I said. "I hope you're very happy." And then I walked out. My legs felt shaky, but they worked. One foot in front of the other, through the tables, past the flowers, out the big doors. The night air felt cold and clean, like washing your face after crying. I got in my car and just SAT there for a minute. My hands were SHAKING. My whole body was shaking, but I was smiling. I drove to my apartment, my tiny apartment that would be empty in 2 weeks. I packed that night. Every single thing I owned, clothes, books, pictures, everything that was mine. Mom called the next morning. 11 times. I didn't answer. Dad sent a text. "We need to talk. This is childish." Childish? That was his favorite word for me. Anytime I did something he didn't like, it was childish. But moving 2,000 miles away to start a new life, that's not childish. That's called growing UP. Grace called crying. "Everyone's so upset," she said. "Why did you have to say that at MY wedding?" "Why did Dad have to say what he said?" I asked back. She got quiet because she knew. She always knew. But knowing and doing something about it are two different things. 2 weeks later, I loaded my car with everything I OWNED. It wasn't much, but it was all mine, bought with MY money, earned with MY work. I drove for 3 days, through states I'd never seen, past mountains and deserts and CITIES that glowed at night. Every mile felt like breathing after holding your breath underwater. When I finally got to San Diego, the sun was setting over the ocean. I'd never seen the ocean before, not the Pacific one anyway. It was so big, so endless, like it went on forever and ever and ever. I stood on the beach that first night, alone. The water was cold on my feet. The sky was turning orange and pink, and I thought about Dad's words. "Takes up space." Yeah, I do take up space. And now that space is mine, every inch of it. My apartment is small. The bathroom door still sticks. The kitchen is tiny. But when I wake up, nobody tells me I'm not good enough. When I make mistakes, nobody makes me sign papers. When I succeed, I get to be proud of myself. Grace texts me sometimes. She says she misses me. I think she misses having someone who always LISDENED, but I'm not that person anymore. Mom sent me a message last month. "Your father didn't mean it that way." But he did, and we both know it. The difference now is that I don't have to pretend anymore. I love my job. I love my apartment. I love waking up to palm trees and sunshine. I love that nobody here knows the old me, the quiet me, the one who took up space apologetically. Here I take up space on purpose, loudly, proudly, mine. If this story made you feel something, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear that walking away isn't giving up. Sometimes it's the BRAVESD thing you can do. And subscribe to Iron Revenge for more stories about people who stopped accepting crumbs and started baking their own bread. Because revenge isn't about HURTING people back. Real revenge is building a life so good that their opinion doesn't matter anymore. That's MY Revenge, and it tastes like freedom.